Quiet on the set.
Camera speed.
Sound production.
Roll sound.
Rolling.
Sound production. Take 2.
Welcome to the I Remember Liking That Movie podcast. Remember those childhood movies you loved? Now, we're going to watch them again and find out if they're still as amazing as you remember. Or, your father was right. You were an idiot, and everything you watched was stupid. So buckle up, movie aficionados. Over-the-top gore? Check. Over-embellished action? Check. Gratuitous nudity? Double check. Storylines so absurd you could drive a semi-truck through those plot holes. Oh yeah, some of those movies didn't even know what a movie plot was. And that's the way we liked it. Now, here's your hosts, Anna Santos and Jimmy Coates.
Welcome to the I Remember Liking That Movie podcast. We have a special episode because a few episodes ago, or did we just do Judge Dredd? We did just do
We
Judge
did.
Dredd.
We did
Yes.
do it, yeah.
And we totally forgot about Dredd 2012. And then all of a sudden we both wanted to watch it and we thought we might as well comment on it. This is weird because we have seen it already. So we're just going to go into some facts and stuff. And we're going to hit the box office with a budget of $45 million. Not bad. Its domestic total was $13.4 million.
Jesus.
Not very good. It had an international 27.6 and a total of 41 million. Here's hoping the rentals. Was Blockbuster still open at 2012? I don't think it was.
It was dying.
Not
It
that
was
many.
dying at
Yeah,
that
it was
point.
dying.
Yeah. Wow.
And
That
there
hurts.
weren't a lot of streamers back then. I think Netflix was just
Netflix was just starting to become a streamer,
yeah.
if I'm not mistaken.
Not a good time for movies,
No.
like on the back end of not being successful in the box office. Of note, it opened the weekend at number 6
Oh,
behind new release House at the End of the Street, which was number 1, and End of Watch, which was number 2, new release Trouble with the Curve, number 3, Finding Nemo re-release, number 4, and Resident Evil Retribution at number 5.
I like that Resident Evil.
I liked all the I'll be honest, I liked them all.
Oh,
They're so bad, but
they're terrible.
They were so
So
fun.
terrible. Yes.
By the next weekend, it was already out of the top 10 at number 11. By the 7th weekend, it was at number 60 and only in 72 theaters. It did not do well at all.
Yeah, no.
And I never seen those 3 movies. The House at the End of the Street, End of Watch. I really want to watch End of Watch. It's one of those ones where I missed. It's with Jake Gyllenhaal, and they're the cops in LA.
Oh, yeah.
I've
I
never
haven't watched
seen
it
it.
yet either.
Yeah, it's one of those ones that's always I see it, I put it on my
Yeah.
list, and you go to watch it 8 months later and it's gone.
Yeah.
But Dredd, yeah, it did not do well. Not at all. So let's go to the tail of the tape. It came out on September 21st, which is almost as bad as releasing in January. Where this is like where movies go to die, unless you're a horror movie. Mid-September to the end of September, if you're a horror movie to start that Halloween run. It's not a horror movie. It's an action sci-fi, rated R, and comes in at a nice 1 hour and 36 minutes. Taglines for Dredd were Judgment is Coming.
Okay.
That's the
Solid.
only tagline it went with.
And that's enough.
It did start putting up internet websites where it was the judges council, and it had slow-mo, the new drug. It had all these cool different things about it, so it did have a bit of marketing. Synopsis. Mega City 1 is a vast, violent metropolis where felons rule the streets. The only law lies with the cops called judges, who act as judge, jury, and executioner. And Dredd, Karl Urban, is one of the city's most feared. One day, Dredd is partnered with Cassandra, Olivia Thirlby, A rookie with powerful psychic abilities. A report of a terrible crime sends Dredd and Cassandra to a dangerous area controlled by Mama, Lena Headey, a drug lord who will stop at nothing to protect her empire. And the poster is Judgment is coming up top. Dredd standing on the ledge of a building. There's buildings flanked on both sides of him, on fire, explosions, smoke, and Dredd 3D.
Mhm.
This was also 2012, big 3D year.
Yeah.
Let's do a quick. 170 critic reviews comes in at 80%.
Wow.
100,000 audience comes at 72%.
Damn.
Critic consensus was fueled by bombastic violence and impressive special effects rooted in self-satire and deadpan humor. Dredd 3D does a remarkable job of capturing its source material gritty spirit. Let's take the turns. I just did a few. You can start with the positive.
The verdict is in, and Dredd is an ultra-violent good time. Johnny Gizmonic, fanboys of the universe, 7 out of 10.
Action junkies should delight in Dredd. Jay Olson, Cinemixtape, 3.5 out of 5. That's a great name.
Yeah. Erase your memories of Sly's bomb with this. Director Pete Travis and writer-producer Alex Garland's lean reboot. Brett Michelle, Boston Phoenix, 3 out of 4.
Overall, Dredd 3D isn't as rich or as deep as The Dark Knight Rises or The Avengers, but it's good, solid comic book fun. Jeffrey M. Anderson, Common Sense Media, 3 out of 5.
Fans were horrified when Sylvester Stallone managed to turn the declarative statement, "I am the law," into a hammy punchline. Those same folks will now be delighted to learn that Karl Urban has reclaimed this snatch of dialogue for them. Matt Brunson, Creative Loafing, 2.5 out of 4.
All right, Rotten, I will start. All gunplay and no guts, unless you count the brain matter smeared across most of the film. Cameron Williams, the popcorn junkie, 2.5 out of 5.
An improvement, to be sure, over the campy excesses of the Stallone incarnation, and yet it is still all testosterone with no place to go. Andrea Chase, Killer Movie Reviews, 2 out of 5.
Dreadful, dystopian dirge filled with graphic, gory, gruesome violence and little else. Susan Granger, SSG Syndicate, 3 out of 10.
Well, Dredd fares better here than in Stallone's Hollywoodized version. The picture fails to convince this RoboCop retread deserves screen treatment at all. Frank Switek, One Guy's Opinion, C-.
My notes are as follows: shoot bad guy, shoot bad guy, shoot bad guy. Kyle Smith, New York Post, 1 out of 4.
Accurate.
Actually, that is pretty accurate.
Yeah.
IMDb, I don't have any, and you'll see why. At 296,000 user ratings.
Wow.
I had to double check that. I'm like, that can't be right. But that's what it said. 7.1 out of 10. That is a shitload of user ratings and a pretty high score.
Yeah.
And there were so many reviews. I did not have the time.
Yeah, no worries. No worries.
And just for those listening, we will watch Dredd, the trailer here for those watching on YouTube and for those listening. And then we're going to just go right into our review.
We can fight our desires. Ooh, when we start making fire,
Makes the brain feel as if time is passing at 1% its normal speed.
we get ever so.
If we play this right, we could take the whole city.
We like it or not.
800 million people living in the ruin of the old world. Only one thing fighting for order in the chaos. The men and women of the Hall of Justice.
Peachtree's is the manufacturing base for all the slow-mo in Mega City 1.
You know how often we get a judge up in Peachtree's?
Well, you got one now.
She has control of everything. Levels 1 to 200.
This is Mama. Somewhere in this block are 2 judges.
That's not good.
I want him dead.
We're gonna have to go through him. Rookie, you ready?
Yeah.
You look ready. Judgment time.
Let's finish this.
Law is not the law. I'm the law. Negotiations over. The sentence is death.
Yay! All right, like I said, we already watched this.
Yeah.
What was your initial thoughts?
My initial thoughts of the movie, like, it was okay. I remembered liking it a lot more. I did not like it as much as I thought I did.
No.
No, I did not. Um, Here's why. I think it had a very good opening. Set up everything. You hear it from Dredd's voice. It immediately connects you. Fantastic. Excuse me. Then, like, you go into the city and it looks proper dystopian, but it gets super, and then it just kind of goes into this like cycle of gross and violence, which I'm like, cool. And it gives me like this weird, I'm like, there's a psychic now. I don't remember the psychic from when I watched it. So there were some logical problems, but I'm like, it's a good solid like uh action movie. A little violent. I didn't really like that cartoony kind of anime like effect that they would put on when they would go into slow motion for a lot of the violence in the fights. It kind of irked me a little bit, but I mean, it's a good solid action movie as long as you don't pay too much attention to the dialogue.
Well, for some context for those listening, Dread, there are mutants, there are zombies in the comics.
Mhm.
They were hoping this was going to be a trilogy, and it would have
Yeah.
ended with the third one of Karl Urban's Judge Dredd against Judge Death and his zombie type uh, judges, and
Mhm.
did the dead versus the humans. I did like it, and I own it.
Yeah.
I bought it off Amazon. I was looking for something and it popped up and it was so stupidly cheap. Like, I don't know if it was like a Prime Day or something, but it was like
Yeah.
$3.99 for the Blu-ray. And it was the 3D Blu-ray. Not that I have a 3D TV or a 3D Blu-ray player. But yeah, it was so, and it just has been sitting here in a box. And I was upstairs and I'm like, fuck. I I actually went on Amazon and YouTube to see how much it was to rent.
Yeah.
Because if it was like a $1.99 or something, a special, I would have rented it rather than go look for it down in my downstairs. So lazy I am. I enjoyed it. Where
Yeah.
Judge Dredd 1995 had a Saturday morning cartoon feel,
Mhm.
this was just overly violent.
Yeah.
Like when they first kick in that door to the first room and
Mm.
they're on slow mo and you see the people's cheeks being blown apart and you see
Yeah.
the teeth and everything. Oh, so awesome. No, I
Okay.
really did like this movie. I thought it was
Yeah.
awesome. I'm not
No,
saying this because I bought it and I want everyone to waste their own fucking money.
no, I liked it. It was a really good solid like action movie, but I think I expected more kind of interpersonal stuff between Dredd and Anderson. Like, I think I expected more interaction between
Yeah,
them,
which if
and I
those
was like a
people,
little disappointed with that.
those listening, if you remember liking it, there is not a lot of character development. There's not a lot of
Yeah,
plot. There's not a lot. There is. It is a straightforward action. Like, you get he's Judge Dredd. You get what's going on. You get, because this is where 95 was like 60 million. I
yeah.
believe he says they're at 800 million. And
Mhm.
then I don't know if they were going to explore the apocalyptic wars that 400 million people die from in the comic books, but
Yeah.
and you get the sense that it's huge. 95, we talked about how the sets made it look claustrophobic, make it look a lot
Yeah.
smaller. There was not that problem in this movie.
No,
It
that was
looked
not that
gigantic.
problem.
It was shot in Cape Town.
Yeah.
Um, what a shithole that looks
Look,
like.
the
Jesus
sets,
Christ.
the art direction, all of that, perfect.
Yes.
I no issue. I did have an issue because when they would go into the slow-mo, like that scene you were talking about where they kick in the door and it goes slow-mo, and then the shooting and I was like, "Oh, you're really going in there." I can appreciate that. Um, but I think that they did something, they hyper colorized it,
Oh yeah, they went from
and
gritty
that
to
it goes
hyper.
and that's I think what I think if they had kept it darker and grittier for those, I th I think I would have liked it a lit like, that just kept throwing me out, and I'm like, I love the shooting them through the cheek, and then you see the blood and I love that, but I was like, it's the coloring. They colorized it, and it drove me
Yeah.
nuts. And I would have liked a little more interaction between Dredd and Anderson, even if it's just being pissy at each other, like something, but mostly they just kind of walk together quietly, and then, like, a couple lines, and then they start shooting people, which I am never opposed to in an action movie. By all means, give me all the shootouts. Um, so I think that was it. Like, I really liked it. I just didn't like it as much as I remember liking it. That's it.
Okay. Well, let's do a quick read. In 2080, most of the United States is a dystopic post-nuclear war wasteland known as the Cursed Earth. On the East Coast lies Megacity 1, a violent metropolis with 800 million residents and 17,000 serious crimes reported daily. The only force for order are the judges, who act as judge, jury, and executioner. The chief judge tasked veteran officer Judge Dredd with assessing potential recruit Cassandra Anderson, who marginally failed the aptitude test to become a judge. Judge. Believing her powerful psychic abilities can help in the judge's failing war against crime. Dredd warns Anderson that disobedience, incorrect sentencing, or being disarmed will result in automatic fail. In a 200-story slum tower block called Peach Trees, drug lord Madeline Mama Madrigal, I think that's probably not how you. I
Mhm.
think that's that. I'm positive it's not how you pronounce it. Has three rogue drug dealers skinned and infused with slow mo, an addictive new drug that reduces the user perception time to 1% of normal before throwing them down the atrium from the top floor to make it seem like it takes forever to get there. That was cool.
Mhm.
Dredd and Anderson arrive to investigate and learn of a drug den, which they raid. They arrest Mama's henchman Kay, whom Anderson psychically detects was involved in the executions, and Dredd decides to take him in for questioning. In response, Mama's force seizes the tower's secret security control room and seal the building using its nuclear blast shields to prevent the judges from leaving or summoning help. Mama instructs the residents to kill the judges or hide, forcing Dredd and Anderson to confront dozens of armed thugs. They reach the 76th floor where Mama and her men launch an assault with rotary cannons that tear apart the walls and kill numerous residents. Again, awesome. Although the judges evade harm, Dredd and Anderson breach the exterior wall and summon backup. Angered by the innocent deaths caused during Mama's assault, Dredd beats Kay for information, deducing she is desperate to prevent him from being interrogated. Anderson intervenes and physically, psychically torments Kay into revealing that Peachtree is a center of slow mo production and distribution. Although Anderson recommends waiting for backup to arrive, Dredd insists of pursuing Mama. A pair of armed teens confront the judges, and while they are distracted, Kay frees himself and disarms Anderson, capturing and taking her by elevator to Mama's base on the top floor. Meanwhile, Judges Volt and Guthrie arrive to support Dredd, but Mama's computer expert convinces them that the blast doors are malfunctioning and cannot be opened. While Dredd works his way toward Mama, she calls in the corrupt judges Lex, Kaplan, Chan, and Alvarez, who just those are such cop names, who dismiss Volt and Guthrie and enter the building. Kay tries to execute Anderson with her lawgiver gun, but the DNA scanner does not recognize him and the gun explodes, destroying his arm before Anderson neutralizes him. Anderson escapes and kills Kaplan after reading her mind, while elsewhere, Dredd runs out of ammunition after killing Chan and Alvarez. Dredd is cornered and shot by Lex, but he stalls Lex long enough for Anderson to arrive and kill him. Anderson obtains the access code to Mama's apartment from the mind of her computer expert and releases him after viewing his memories of torture and coercion.
Coercion?
That's it. At Mama's hands. Dredd admonishes her decision to release a suspect as a fail point and a crime, but she reminds him she already failed to assessment by being disarmed and considers the computer expert a victim. The judges infiltrate Mama's apartment where they kill most of her enforcers. Although Anderson is shot and wounded, Mama reveals that if Dredd kills her, a device on her wrist will detonate explosives on the top floors, destroying the building. Reasoning that the detonator's signal will not reach the explosives from the ground floor, Dredd forces Mama to inhale slow-mo and throws her down the atrium to her death. With order restored, the judges leave Peachtree to reinforcements arrive. Dredd tells Anderson her assessment is complete and she surrenders her badge before leaving. The chief judge asks Dredd about Anderson's performance. He responds that she has passed. And that is our movie.
Mm-hmm.
So, what would your score be?
I think this is a solid rent it. If you're a fan of like gory action movies, because there is actual brain matter that you see.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of blood, there's a lot of stuff that you're like, oh God, that's gross. So if you're a fan of that, it's a solid rental, 100%. I probably wouldn't buy it, but I mean, it's a fun. If you like action movies, this is right up your alley.
Yeah, I agree. My score, I would say buy it. It is very gory. Some
Mhm.
of the effects were you could tell were digital. It's
Yeah.
fine. There were so many. I would have really actually liked to see this in 3D. That might have been really cool.
Mm,
But yeah, no, there's not a lot there. Not a lot. There's really no story at all.
none.
It's very simple to follow. They're
Yeah.
pursuing a bad guy, go in the building, work their way to the top, and they kill a lot
It
of
felt a lot
people.
like a video game.
Yeah, it did. Actually, it
Yeah.
was another movie called The Raid that was quite similar. I don't know if
Mm.
they borrowed heavily from it, but yeah, no, it was a lot of fun to watch. I did like it. They're two different movies, Judge Dredd 1995 and Judge Dredd 2012.
Oh, 100%.
Completely.
Completely different. Completely different.
Like these judges, the bikes look proper, the uniforms look proper. They don't have those big football shoulder
The
pads
shoulder
on.
pads, yeah. Those were terrible in the 1995 one. I was like, at
Oh,
least his uniform in this one looks functional.
yeah.
Like it
A-
looks like one someone would wear to work.
And Karl Urban was great. I'm a big Karl Urban fan,
Yeah.
and they really tried to make him a action star, but it just didn't take.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's made a lot of great movies. The Mama was great. I think I liked what's his name better. Armand.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Because he was fucking batshit
just over
crazy.
the top.
Don't get me wrong. Mama was
Mama
like,
was great. Yeah,
she was great, also crazy, but like a really sinister crazy, whereas Armand Desante was like a fun crazy.
yeah.
Like it was a little more lighthearted. This one, I was like, you're at one point she puts that knife in the tech guy's belly button, and I'm like,
Oh
oh
right,
my
yeah.
God, are you about to gut him? Because there's that much like goriness in this movie that I was like, that's
Oh yeah,
totally possible.
yeah, it
I
wouldn't
would
be out
not
of
be
context.
surprised. So I was like, oh God, are you gonna gut him? And then she didn't. And I was like, thank you for not getting him. He seems
But
nice. I feel bad for
then
him.
you see him scooping out his eyes.
Yeah, no, that's ew.
So
That too.
Ah.
But yeah, there's
Yeah, there's a lot of gore in this movie.
there is. There's a lot of stuff that I'm like, oh, you showed me that.
Yeah,
Okay. All right.
I loved it.
Really, it was a really, really solid, good, gory action movie.
Yeah,
And I'm
and it-
like, I'm down for it. I just remember liking it a lot more than I actually did this time.
Yeah. Yeah. No story. None whatsoever.
It's
Just
literally there's
action.
just a goal, and
You
they're
won't be
like,
confused.
yeah,
You know what's going on. It's really simple.
it's so straightforward.
Yeah. All right. So that is Dread 2012. We have a rent it and a buy it. All right. Well, thanks for coming back to 2012 and going over Dread with us. And until the next movie we remember liking.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.